Today I'm going to be talking about all or nothing thinking, what it is, how it makes depression and anxiety worse, and what you can do about it. Hi everyone. This is the first in a series of videos on cognitive distortions, which are biased or faulty ways of thinking that can drive negative emotional states like anxiety or depression. And the first cognitive distortion we're going to be talking about is all or nothing thinking, or sometimes referred to as black and white thinking. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about all or nothing thinking. So I want you to imagine a scenario that I'm at a job interview. It's a job that I'm really wanting and I'm really interested in. And things are going really well in the job interview. I'm answering all of the questions. I'm feeling confident. Things are going really smoothly. But then I get asked a question that catches me off guard, and I fumble it a bit, and I don't answer the question as well as I would have liked. And I end up leaving the interview feeling awful. I feel that it was a terrible interview. It was a complete waste of my time. It was a complete waste of their time. This is an example of all or nothing thinking, which is a tendency to view things as extreme, all or none. So I'm a success or I'm a total failure. My performance was exceptional or it was terrible. I'm either thin or I'm fat. I'm competent or I'm incompetent. I'm on a diet or I'm totally off the diet. Something is good or it's bad. Things are black or they're white. All or nothing thinking leads to this perception that anything that isn't 100% correct or 100% perfect is useless or equates to nothing, zero. And so you can see how this might negatively affect how I think about myself and my performance in situations, how I might think about relationships, recreational activities, work. You can see how this tendency to view things in this all or nothing way can really have a negative effect on how I perceive all areas of my life. But it can also apply to how I perceive other people. So the relationship is either perfect or it's horrible. My partner is totally considerate and loving or completely self-centered. That other person is friendly or nice or they're harsh and mean. So this all or nothing thinking, it dovetails and is really quite strongly related to perfectionism. So kind of like these perfectionistic expectations that we create for ourselves, but also for other people. Essentially at its core, all or nothing thinking tells us that if something isn't perfect, it's pointless. It's worthless. If I'm not perfect, I'm worthless. If other people aren't perfect, then they're worthless to me. And so think about how this might affect my mood if I tend to view things in this way. So if I'm on a diet, what it means is that I must stick to that diet 100% of the time, or the diet's ruined and I have failed. What's the point of being on a diet or trying to improve my health if I'm just going to continue to fail at it. If I'm going to be in a relationship, my partner must be perfect in every way, or she's a monster and the relationship will never work out. You see this type of thinking a lot in borderline personality disorder with relation to relationships, where a person can either idealize their partner or see their partner as completely self-centered and selfish and awful. You can get this sort of fluctuating in terms of how a person with borderline personality disorder thinks about their partner. But it's not just in borderline personality disorder. We all do this, and this can come up a lot in a lot of interpersonal relationships. So this type of all or nothing thinking, what ends up happening is it leads to so much failure on my part, and it leads me to view others as failing me all the time. And so you can see how this might be a recipe for depression or anxiety. It just sets you up to feel disappointed in yourself and to feel disappointed in other people all the time. So if you engage in all or nothing thinking, what can you do about it? Well, the key with all or nothing thinking is to look for the shades of gray. Look for evidence that can balance out some of this extreme thinking. So any evidence that doesn't support this extreme way of viewing myself or the other person. Yeah, I was thrown by one interview question and I answered it poorly, but the rest of the interview seemed to go pretty well. If I stick to my diet 80% of the time, well, that's still better than not being on a diet at all, isn't it? Another thing you can do, another tip that you can do to try and address or get over this all or nothing thinking is to sometimes replace the word or with the word and. So that person might be a Republican and a nice person. You see, this type of thinking is really pervasive in depression, but unfortunately it's also becoming more pervasive in society more generally, particularly in politics, where we tend to define people and the entirety of who they are by their relationships to particular groups or political parties. So if, for example, I'm a Democrat and I meet a Republican, then they must be wrong about everything, and there's no validity to any of their opinions, and vice versa. And unfortunately, this has kind of become the political discourse in society. This has kind of become the way that we interact with other people who may hold different views than we do in various areas. So if they hold different views in this area, then I dismiss everything that other person might believe. So we need to get better at seeing the shades of gray in ourselves, the world, other people. Looking for evidence or data that don't support our extreme views of a situation or a person. So if you notice or you want to overcome this tendency for all or nothing thinking, the key first step is to recognize and become more aware of when you're actually doing the all or nothing thinking. So to recognize the all or nothing thinking when it's happening, and when you catch it, to ask yourself, where are the shades of gray in this? What's an alternative way of thinking about this that isn't quite so extreme? So I hope that makes sense. I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas about this. So please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you're enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.